In the heart of Paris at the dawn of the 20th century, a woman stood on the precipice of a discovery that would forever alter our understanding of the universe. In a drafty, converted shed, with makeshift equipment and a relentless spirit, she was hunting for something invisible, something powerful, something that glowed with an ethereal light. This wasn't just a scientific experiment, it was an obsession, a quest that would demand everything from her health, her safety, her very life. But in return, would gift humanity a new science and make her name immortal. This is the story of Marie Curie, not just the icon on a pedestal, but the woman who wrestled with the glowing heart of the atom itself. Born Maria Skłodowska in Warsaw, Poland, in 1867, her world was one of oppression. Under Russian rule, Polish culture was suppressed, and education for women was severely limited. But in the Skłodowski household, knowledge was a form of rebellion. Her father, a teacher of mathematics and physics, nurtured his children's curiosity in a home filled with scientific instruments. Young Maria, or Manya as she was called, was a prodigy, blessed with a photographic memory and an insatiable hunger for learning. This hunger, however, ran into the hard wall of reality. The University of Warsaw did not admit women. Undeterred, Maria and her sister Bronisława made a pact. Maria would work as a governess to fund Bronisława's medical studies in Paris, and once established, Bronisława would return the favor. For 6 long years, Maria toiled, stealing moments late at night to study physics, chemistry, and mathematics on her own. It was a period of intellectual isolation but unwavering determination. Finally, in 1891, at the age of 24, her turn came. She packed her bags and boarded a train for Paris, the city of light, where her destiny awaited. Arriving in Paris, she enrolled at the prestigious Sorbonne. Life was Spartan. She lived in a cold, unheated garret, often subsisting on little more than bread and tea, sometimes fainting from hunger. But she was intellectually alive. Surrounded by the greatest scientific minds of her time, Maria excelled, graduating first in her class in physics in 1893 and second in mathematics the following year. It was during her search for a laboratory to conduct her own research that she met a man who shared her passion for science. A quiet, brilliant physicist named Marie Curie. Their connection was immediate and profound. They spoke the language of magnetism, crystals, and piezoelectricity. Pierre, already a renowned scientist, recognized the sheer force of Maria's intellect. He wrote to her, "It would be a beautiful thing to pass through life together, hypnotized in our dreams, your patriotic dream, our humanitarian dream, and our scientific dream." In 1895, they married, sealing not just a romantic union, but one of the most formidable scientific partnerships in history. Maria was no longer just Maria Skłodowska. She was Marie Curie. Just as their life together began, the scientific world was shaken by 2 groundbreaking discoveries. In 1895, Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays. A year later, Henri Becquerel found that uranium salts emitted a mysterious, similar kind of ray, completely on their own. While many scientists saw this as a minor curiosity, Marie Curie saw a universe of questions. Where did this energy come from? Was it unique to uranium? She decided this would be the subject of her doctoral thesis, a bold and unconventional choice. Using a sensitive electrometer designed by Pierre and his brother, Marie began a systematic investigation. She tested every known element to see if it, like uranium, emitted these strange rays. She found that thorium also possessed this property. But her most startling discovery came when she tested pitchblende, the raw ore from which uranium is extracted. It was 4 times more active than pure uranium itself. The only logical conclusion was that pitchblende must contain a new, undiscovered element that was far more powerful than uranium. Pierre, mesmerized by the implications of her work, abandoned his own research to join her quest. Thus began their legendary labor. Their laboratory was a leaky, abandoned shed, a far cry from the well-equipped labs of their peers. For 4 years they toiled in what one chemist called a cross between a stable and a potato cellar. They undertook the grueling physical task of refining tons of pitch-blende ore. They stirred boiling cauldrons of toxic material with heavy iron rods, their hands raw and burned, their lungs filled with noxious fumes. It was backbreaking, dangerous work. Through this relentless process, they began to isolate the mysterious substances. In July 1898, they announced the discovery of a new element, which they named polonium, in honor of Marie's beloved oppressed homeland. But they weren't done. They knew another, even more powerful element lurked within the ore. By December of that same year, they had found it. It was astonishingly radioactive, glowing with a faint, ghostly blue light in the dark. They called it radium, from the Latin word for ray. Marie Curie had coined a new term for this phenomenon, radioactivity. The discovery was a sensation. Radium seemed to defy the fundamental laws of physics, producing energy from nothing. In 1903, Marie Curie became the first woman in France to be awarded a doctorate. That same year, she, Pierre, and Henri Becquerel were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their joint research on radiation. Initially, the Nobel Committee intended to honor only Pierre and Becquerel, a common slight against female scientists. But Pierre, in an act of unwavering integrity, insisted that Marie's foundational role be recognized. She became the first woman to ever win a Nobel Prize. Tragedy struck in 1906. On a rainy Paris street, Pierre Curie was killed in a traffic accident. Marie's world was shattered. She lost not only her husband, but her closest scientific collaborator. "I am working in the laboratory all day long," she wrote in her diary. "It is all I can do." The Sorbonne offered her Pierre's professorship, a position she accepted, becoming the first female professor in the university's 650-year history. She poured her grief into her work, determined to honor Pierre's legacy by continuing their research. She succeeded beyond measure. In 1911, Marie Curie was awarded a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for her work in isolating pure radium and determining its atomic weight. This made her the first person, man or woman, to ever win 2 Nobel Prizes, and to this day she remains the only person to win in 2 different scientific fields. It was an unprecedented achievement, cementing her status as a scientific titan. When World War I broke out, Marie Curie once again demonstrated her practical genius and humanitarian spirit. Realizing that X-rays could help locate shrapnel in wounded soldiers, she developed mobile radiography units. These vehicles, nicknamed Petites Curies, were equipped with X-ray machines powered by generators. She and her teenage daughter, Irene, drove these units to the front lines, training medics and helping to treat over 1 million soldiers. She was no longer just a scientist in a lab, she was a savior on the battlefield. But the element that made her famous was also slowly killing her. For decades, Marie had handled radioactive materials with no protection, often carrying vials of radium in her pockets because she loved their glow. The Curies had suffered from what they called rheumatism and fatigue for years, unaware it was radiation sickness. In 1934, at the age of 66, Marie Curie died from aplastic anemia, a blood disease caused by her long-term exposure to radiation. Even her cookbooks and papers from the 1890s are still so radioactive today that they must be stored in lead-lined boxes. Marie Curie's legacy is absolutely incredible. She didn't just change our understanding of matter and energy. She completely transformed the fields of nuclear physics and medicine. Can you imagine how groundbreaking her work was? It's not just about her discoveries, though. Her journey really showcases the power of human curiosity and resilience, especially when facing challenges. Picture this: a woman in the early 1900s, breaking barriers in a male-dominated field, all because she was passionately devoted to her research. She didn't care about fame, she was all about the science. Curie's life reminds us that the road to discovery can be tough and sometimes even dangerous. But she showed us that the pursuit of knowledge is a light that's worth every struggle. Isn't that just inspiring? Thank you for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please like, subscribe, and follow our channel for more journeys into history.